So the reason for using this platform is the fact that I checked out Zoom, checked out. I have nothing. I don't know anything about Discord. So I know a lot of people do
Hmm.
this on Discord, but I don't know how to go about it. A friend of mine, somebody on YouTube told me about Discord, but how does that work?
It's like a modern Skype, you could call it like that. Because
What's different?
most gamers use it right now. Like it's very convenient. Like you can even create a server and you can gather like a bunch of people there and like you can talk anytime. There's no
Mm.
like
But is
you
that
don't
good
need
for?
any subscriptions.
But is that good
Yeah.
for individual speaking, like one-on-one speaking?
Yeah, yeah. It works pretty well. I conduct some of my lessons there as well. Group
Oh,
lessons, I don't know, individual lessons. Yeah.
I use Google Zoom. I use Google Meet. Which one is better, Google Meet or this one?
I also tried Google Meet, but I don't know why. But sometimes I can like it can lag for many people. Like it can lag either for me or for some of
Really?
the students. So
Mm.
yeah. But on Discord, I maybe had like 2 or 3 times when I when somebody went out when there were some problems. But
Really, I used to use Google
all,
Meet,
all
but I just feel Discord is gameish to me. Like you use it for games. Gamers use Discord. Am I wrong?
yes, mostly gamers use it, but it's very comfortable. Like for the
Mm,
lessons, for just one v one conversations, it doesn't
oh,
matter. You can just use it.
wow.
Yeah.
I'm not kind of check it out. So the reason for using Riverside is the fact that I tried StreamYard, Riverside,
Hmm.
Google Meet, and Zoom. So apart from the pricing, Riverside has, I think this one costs, I think $19 a month
Hmm.
for 5 hours of stream. Although the hours are limited, but one good thing about this is that once we're done with this conversation, it transcribes. So you have
Hmm.
everything we've talked about. Then you can edit using the transcription, and you can as well cut out. There's this AI that cut out interesting aspect of our conversation and makes it like
Okay.
30-second clips for maybe social media and the likes. So in a way, I
Mm.
think it's just all these options that you have with it just
Hmm.
gave me this guide to try it out and see if it goes well. Then if it doesn't, I might try out SteamYard, Zoom, and some other
All right.
things also. But it's just an experiment.
Okay.
And I just feel, okay, let me start with somewhere. Like I have had football conversations with you, so I'm like, okay, and I
Okay.
felt comfortable doing that. So let's just kick it off there and
All right. All right.
yeah, start with that. Okay, that's interesting. What's up with is it okay to mention workplaces here? What's up with your workplace? Let's not yeah mention. I think should we say names or not names? I don't know the rules. Sincerely, I am just starting. So, should we say the T name or we shouldn't in terms of office, or we should just say workplace?
Uh, we can just call it workplace. I think. I don't know. I mean,
Workplace.
I don't know. I don't really care. I
Yeah,
don't really
same
care.
here also, but I don't know if I never asked uh those people in charge.
Ah.
I don't know
Uh-huh.
if it's
Okay.
something they're cool
Uh-huh.
with, but I think it might be a form of, if this goes well, it might be a form of
Hmm.
advertisement, business,
Yeah.
something for
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
was are you still there? Are you still in the tel right now? Let's just say the name.
Yeah, I am, but I don't. I have only one student, like individual
Mm,
student, but he put the lessons on hold. Like we're not having the lessons right now. So
yeah,
I
well,
don't know
tel.
when we will have them. Like whether we will actually have them anymore. I don't know. So
FX system is
yeah.
usually about, it's a flexible one, right? You have students, you don't. It depends on the teacher's schedule, students available, and some other things.
Yeah,
But yeah,
yeah,
but is
yeah,
Telk your
yeah.
first workplace ever?
No, 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 no. Of course
Oh,
not.
okay.
Yeah.
Where's the first place?
Actually, the first work was like the first real work. Let's call it like
Okay,
that. It was also a teacher, but it was in another center, not in Telk.
okay. Yeah, the reason I'm asking that is I just want to
Yeah.
go into your experience of doing that. I think what we should now come
Ah,
into
okay.
what we should come back into is that okay, there's some lagging happening. What's happening? Why are you lagging?
Yeah.
Okay, I think it's probably the internet. Yeah, it's probably the internet. So
Yeah,
my reason for that
probably.
is
Yeah.
to know where you're coming from. I think let's start with the name
Mhm.
of this. What's it called? With our name. So the name is fine is not enough. Do you think that makes sense? Just throwing it over to you. Fine is not enough.
Uh-huh.
What do you think that means? Fine is not enough.
And it's like, uh-huh. My interpretation is like
Okay.
settling for good is not enough. Like you have to like shoot for the
Mm-hmm.
stars, aim for the moon.
Mm. Oh,
So it's like,
you're so optimistic. Okay.
yeah, yeah. No, it's like actually I agree with this quote. Like it's some people may be like satisfied with what they currently have in their life, like financially wise,
Mm-hmm.
the place where they live maybe. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm more of a like how should I say, like a person who is trying
You want
to
more
aim for the
optimistic?
moon and tries to
A
shoot.
hustler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could say like that. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I see that in your stripes, in your candor. You're always like, oh, let's get this done. Oh, let's get this over with. Let's get it over with. Yeah, so I think that's what I'm aiming for actually. The goal is to make people tell me more. So
Hmm.
I have had this, let me say, 5 years, over 5 years. Why am I saying 5 years? 5 years is just in Kazakhstan. I had 2 years before coming to Kazakhstan. So let me say 7 years of
Hmm.
teaching experience. And one thing I have discovered
Okay.
about my students is that they're always, when you ask them questions, they're like, I'm fine. Number one, out of avoidance, they don't want to say more than they have to avoid making mistakes. You understand? And
Hmm.
another aspect
Yeah,
is
yeah,
that
yeah.
they also, how do I put this? They don't have much to say. I think one, it's
Hmm.
because of the nature of the students I have dealt with here in Kazakhstan. I have extroverted, I've had extroverted students, but I've had some students that even with what I know, with their level of understanding, they still try to
Hmm.
just limit their conversation. Fine. So, and I think I picked it from that aspect of, like you've said, you should aim
Hmm.
higher, and also from my frustration. Mine is not enough.
Hmm.
Give me more. So when people ask me, how are you? I say, oh, I'm doing fine. Something happened to me today. I ate chicken in the morning. I talk for like 1 minute, just given a glimpse into how my day has been so far. But when
Hmm.
I ask people, they say, fine. So I'm trying to start my conversation from there for this, my podcast, to say, anytime I have a guest, which I am trying to experiment on you, oh, this might be a first one. I ask you, I don't say, what's your name? I don't introduce my client. I say client, my guest, or pal. I should not say guest. I should call you guys. I am business minded. I am thinking clients right now. The first thing that comes to mind
Okay.
is, how are you? That will always be my first question. So everybody else watching this probably coming, and I am sure you are coming back again for not testing proper chats. Maybe we talk about football and all
Hmm.
that. Go deeper. We still have a long way to go today. How are you?
Yeah. That's a tricky question. No, actually, Actually, no, I'm doing great. I'm doing
That's
great. Like
good.
if you asked me this question maybe 2 weeks ago, I might have said like I'm doing okay, or maybe I'm
Oh,
doing not so okay. But right now, I feel fine. I honestly feel great. I'm
let's go
just
back 2 weeks ago.
grateful for everything that I have in my disposal.
Oh, that's beautiful. I want to go back 2 weeks
Yeah.
ago. I want to go back 2 weeks ago. How were
All right.
you 2 weeks ago?
Um, I wasn't doing so fine because of
Mm,
some circumstances, let's say, that happened
mm.
in the family, and like family stuff happened, let's say. So
Okay.
I wasn't really at my best, so I, yeah, didn't really communicate with anybody. I tried to just like stay low key. Like I no, I went out, of obviously, but I didn't
Hmm.
really meet with anybody. I just went out alone, just try to like have some time off, let's say. But still, it was a bit hard. But um, nobody cares. Life isn't fair.
That's interesting. I picked up some questions while you were talking, but I want to start from the last one. Nobody
All
cares.
right.
I sometimes believe people don't care, but is that statement true? Nobody cares.
Especially for men, I would say that's true. Like, I'm not trying to be sexist or anything, but
Of
for
course.
men, like, nobody gives a damn. Like, how are you feeling? What are you up to? Like, I don't know, how much do you earn? What have you done the last week? What have you done the last year? Have you achieved your goals in 2023, let's say, or 2024 so far? Like, no, that's
People
life,
don't
I
really
guess.
care.
Like, nobody
That's
cares.
life.
You're
Unless
the
unless
only person who, yeah.
unless
Sorry.
unless you have something to offer. Maybe maybe what can I say? Maybe you have money, or there's a
Hmm.
responsibility bestowed on you as a man. Maybe that in that situation, people might just care. That's interesting. That's actually not
Yeah.
interesting. That's an interesting view of the way we see things as men, in a way. So, are you the kind of person that you hide away when you feel like this, or you just keep it somewhere and you just blast through it? Somebody like me, I just
Mm, hmm.
mute and how do you handle pressure like that?
That's an interesting question. If you ask me this question like, I don't know, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, I would have said
Oh,
that I just like to keep everything in myself. I
mm-hmm,
don't really like talking about my problems or my suffering or anything like that. But now I'm trying to, like, I understand that if I hide everything in myself, I'm just gonna, at some point, I'm just gonna, like you said, I'm just gonna blast and, I don't know,
mm-hmm,
do some stuff that I'm gonna regret later. So I try to, like, talk with my family members maybe, or with my
exactly.
like close friends who I really trust. So
Mm-hmm,
I'm trying to share. Like, sometimes it's
exactly.
hard because I'm like I have this like, one side of me says that nobody cares. Like, why
Mm-hmm,
would you even waste their time, your time? But
mm-hmm.
the other side of myself says, nah, man, you cannot like just hide it in yourself.
Be
You
a
gotta
man.
speak.
Yeah, they tell you
Yeah,
be a man, be
yeah,
strong.
yeah,
Don't show it. That it's
yeah.
it's is it sad? Can I say it's sad to be in situations like that? I try to avoid. I
Sad.
try to.
Well,
What you said?
uh, you asked, is it sad?
Yeah, is it sad to have situations like when you just keep things to yourself, or you are forced to say it out because of you're trying to avoid something that is coming in the
Mm,
future?
um, it is sad because, like, everybody is different. Everybody has their to life situations, circumstances, all this stuff. But I hope that many people will, like, start speaking more, like start sharing their problems. I mean, not like to everybody, of course not, but
Mm-hmm.
to
Mm-hmm.
at least to close your close ones, your family members, maybe your close friends, like people who you really trust. Then I feel like you should try to do it more. Like it won't be hard. I mean, it won't be easy in the beginning, of course,
Of course,
but
of course.
try your best
Try
because
your best to
I've
just.
been yeah yeah just
It's
try your
interesting.
best.
I was thinking back to that, but I want to go way back to what actually connects the two of us, which
Mm-hmm.
is teaching. We
Mm-hmm.
met on a very interesting circumstance where we I enjoy teaching, and after that we just clicked. I think you were in my so TELG system is sort of when a new teacher comes in, they get to observe the activities of the
Yeah.
existing teachers just to understand
Mm-hmm.
TELG's system, to understand everything, which is really good for the new teacher. You don't just jump into the ocean and swim. You understand what is really going on. So you happen to be in my class, right? In
Yeah.
my class,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I kind of we vibed. Yeah, we vibed.
Mm-hmm.
One, I was a bit surprised because I think in Kazakhstan the percentage of male teachers it's a bit low.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, in my 8 months in talk, at least in a month, I had had some female teachers come to my classes to
Mm-hmm.
observe. So seeing you was strange because in 8 months I hadn't, do you understand, experienced a male teacher coming. I'm like, what? A guy? Okay, what's happening? So why teaching? That's the question.
Uh-huh. I have a very no. I have a actually I have a very interesting story about this because
Oh,
when I was in school, like for I don't know, for maybe 5 years at least, maybe even more, I always told myself that I cannot explain anything to anybody. Like if I
hmm,
understand something well, like let's say math or some English grammar, let's say, or any other subject that I understand well, I had problems with explaining like the subject or the topic to other people, like my friends, my classmates, anybody.
hmm,
So and then I was just like, well, I like I won't like I cannot do it for the rest of my life. Like at some
okay,
point I will have to learn like how to explain stuff to other people. So I just went like, well, let's try teaching then. And I also I live with my grandmother and she's a teacher as well. She's been teaching. Well, she's retired now, but she has taught for about 40 years, if not more. So she has a huge experience, and I talked with her as well, and she just went, well, just go with it, just try your best, do your best, and let's see how it goes. And then I started. In the beginning, I'm gonna be honest, I had some doubts because the first like 2 or 3 weeks, I actually wanted to quit because it was a bit stressful for me. Like, because I'm a person who doesn't really like to be the center of attention. And obviously, when you're
mm-hmm,
teaching, you have to, when you explain the topic, you're standing in the middle of the room, let's say, and
mm-hmm.
everybody's looking at you, and it was very stressful actually. But then I just told myself, like, man, you have to keep going. Like nobody said it will be easy, so I just in like after first months, I was just like, okay, I feel great. I feel good. Yeah, this is how it went.
Oh, we have contrasting stories here. I'm a sucker for education actually. I like I think
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of similar. My mom was a teacher. She retired this year as a school
Mm-hmm.
we call them headmaster, like head teacher. So she was a teacher all her life. She taught for over 30 years in Nigeria. So she retired and I am the first child of the family. My father also retired accountant, but not a teacher. So we had this
Hmm.
situation where the Nigerian housing system is not really like this place where you have apartments. We have houses, which means my house is
Hmm.
beside somebody's house. So fortunately, or let me say unfortunately, I am, or as at the time, I was the eldest in my family, the firstborn of three. Then also in my neighborhood, I was kind of the oldest.
Hmm.
So these children after school would come to our house with their homework. Do you understand? The neighbors. So they would come with their
Uh-huh.
homework. So to help me, so I was in like, let me say, high school, helping them check their homework, and it was for free. I was just in there for free, checking others, my siblings, just checking everything out. But I still have these siblings there, not really directly to my siblings because they're kind of independent. These guys are smart. Okay, my sister studied mathematics, brother mechanical engineering. So these guys are like they're self sufficient. But I was able to help, or let me say, neighbors, and I started with that. Then sometimes I would follow my mom to office, sit in a classroom while she taught the student, and I saw the dynamics of dependency, the rate at which students just look up to her for, let me see, do I say knowledge or information? But they're expectant of something. They wanted
Hmm.
her
Okay.
to give them something. Like, okay, help us. What's this? What's that? And I just developed my interest. Well, I think when I was younger, I actually wanted to be a lawyer, but they said,
Hmm.
when they checked my back here in Kazakhstan, let me compare that to grade at age 9. What grade are you at? No, is it age 9? No, age 12. What grade are you at age 12?
Well, let me count. So you start usually at 6.
Hmm.
Wait, 4, 5, 6, 7, grade 7.
Grade 7, yeah, grade 7, 8, 7. So you, at that stage, back in Nigeria, you have to choose your career path, which is weird because at the age you are not the one choosing your career path, it's usually your parent. So at this point, my dad, an accountant, actually made sure my mathematics was amazing, mathematics science
Hmm.
subject. So when it was time to choose, I wanted to go for law because I enjoyed speaking, remember? So I thought if my mom was a
Hmm.
teacher and we weren't that rich, okay, let me go for something that involves speaking. And we would I would make my money doing that. But when teachers' recommendation came, they said my mathematics, we called it integrated science. Integrated science is like chemistry,
Hmm.
physics. Back there at a junior level, we called it introtech. They were better than my art subject, English, government, something. So they recommended science, and my father was like, "Yeah, I want you to be an engineer." At age 12, I couldn't do anything, so I chose science, and that's
Hmm.
it. But I still kept on doing that. But the thing is that I'm coming back to you. What about
Okay.
when you started teaching? You said you wanted to give up
Yep.
because you were the center of attention. But what kept you going? What kept you going? Like, okay, I'm not giving up. This is what I have chosen.
Uh, mm,
I have seen
that's
teachers give
also
up.
an interesting
I
question.
have seen teachers give up.
Actually, actually, I'm very grateful to one person because
Mm.
at that time I was modeling as well. Like I was
Oh,
shooting for the
okay.
like, shops and stuff like that. And she was working in one of those shops, and I talked to her about that, and she kind of like inspired me to go. Like I had some thoughts that like no man, like you cannot give up. Like if you give up, you are a loser. Like something like that. And then she just she talked to me for maybe half an hour only about that. Like yeah, it's hard. Like nobody said it's gonna be easy. Like, but still,
Mm-hmm.
you have to keep going. Like if you feel this, if you feel the same in the next 3 months, then probably
Okay.
it's not for you. But
Hmm.
if it goes well after like 1 month, maybe 2 months, then well, you overcame this obstacle,
This
let's say.
this obstacle. Modeling.
Yeah.
Oh, you said something about modeling. So do you still model?
Not anymore, but I'm open for discussions. Let's call it like that.
Oh, okay. So you like it's kind of like a freelance thing, right?
Yeah, yeah. I don't do it anymore. I haven't done it for the last maybe 6 months at least. But if somebody offers me, well, why not?
You pick it up. So it's something that's just
Yeah,
naturally.
yeah.
Do you think do you think that's an advantage according to your looks?
Um, no, I think like one of the advantages is that you learn how to handle yourself in front of a camera because I am a type of a person who had some real problems with that. Like when I say real, I mean like real problems with that because I remember when we just went to a restaurant with my family and my father, he's a type of a person who likes taking photos and recording everything, and he was
Okay.
like, come on, like let's take a photo. And at some point I was just like, I had enough, and I just went, nah, I don't want to. I don't want to do that. And like it's my family. Like I wasn't doing it for work purpose or for
Mm-hmm.
anything else. It was just a family picture, and I even had problems with that. And then actually, the story is kind of the same with teaching. The fact that I just went like, well, we live in a 21st century. Like handling yourself in front of a camera is probably one of the most important skills nowadays, I would say. And I just went like, let's just try some modeling. Like I think I have the looks. I'm not sure, but I think I have.
You
So I
do.
just I
you,
I hope so.
you hope
I
so.
hope so. So
Okay,
I
that's been modest.
yeah
Okay. A modest model. Oh,
I
get
just
that.
yeah
Hmm.
I just tried it, and it went not bad. It went quite good, I would say. Like
So, but
I'm still trying to become better. Like when I'm recording myself, like how I handle myself in front of a camera. But right now I feel way more comfortable, way more calm than what it used to be like. I don't know, 4 years ago, maybe 3 years ago.
it's hard.
So
It's
yeah,
hard.
yeah.
It's hard. Staying in front of a camera. Sometimes I develop ideas. I started this YouTube thing as something
Mhm.
fun, and two, something about making sure my. I think I have this interest in. I have a thing for speaking. I have a thing for
Mhm.
sharing knowledge, and I discovered that I shouldn't just limit it to people around me. Let me make it a way global. Then I would
Mhm.
conceptualize, get everything, even write down. Because once I'm in front of the camera, bye bye. I freeze. I'm just like, um, um. Then I forget a lot of things, and just to first myself into. I think I started officially three, not really 3 years ago, back in 2020. Is that 3 years? That's about 4 years ago,
Mhm.
right? I started a YouTube channel,
Yeah, yeah.
then I hated it.
Mhm.
I did not like it. Then I switched to a faceless YouTube channel. Then
Mhm.
one parent came visiting. He came to my house and said, I think I made a video about that. A parent came to my house, saw my YouTube videos, and said, I think you'd be better with your face just talking. But the thing is, I was scared, really scared. So coming back now, I
Mhm.
decided, okay, let's do this. But I I still flunked my first few videos. I have had 16 real videos on this channel,
Mhm.
and I liked some. I didn't like most of. I still don't like most of the videos because of I had good information, but the way I just pushed them out was as if I crammed something. I didn't flow at all. Do you understand? So now the
Mhm.
situation is I
Yeah, yeah.
put myself under one challenge. Today's my last day of the challenge. I did 30 days English Russian challenge. Just comparing English and Russian words. But the goal wasn't
Mhm.
to do the challenge. Sincerely, it's a selfish goal, not really. Well, people learn from that, but it was for me to be able to face the camera and speak
Hmm.
confidently from what I know. So now
Hmm.
it's, yeah. So, and I must say, I've learned a lot. I have gained a bit of composure. I've I have a bit of, can I say I have more confidence? I am more confident compared
Yeah.
to 2 months ago when I started. Now I can just play
Hmm.
around with the camera, just, say a lot of things. I know at the end of the day I'm going to cut, maybe when I make mistakes or something. Even if it's live, I don't care. Just make it happen. So cameras sometimes can be intimidating, like you said. They can be intimidating.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah. But is there something about modeling that enables you to maybe keep fit, keep or we have the modern world now where I'm sorry to say this, obesity might be a thing. Like in terms of you don't have to be fit
Uh,
to be a model. Do
hmm.
you do
Hmm.
you do you have requirements for stuff like that in Kazakhstan? Like when people call you, are they calling you because of your feet or they just want any model?
Uh, Honestly, I never had like um, they never gave me any requirements like you have to be like I don't know
You have
you
to be
the only
tall.
the only requirement was the height, like you have to be at least
Oh,
185, I think, if I'm not wrong.
so
180, 185.
so short people like us. Although I don't know my height, but but I know I'm nowhere. You're taller than I am, right? I think you're way taller than I am.
I think so.
Yeah,
I
you're
think
you're
so,
you're
yeah, if I'm
definitely
not
taller than I am. Yeah, that's oh god,
I
it's a
think so.
shame. Oh god, I think we should create our own identity to short people. Short lives matter. short short lives matter.
Well,
Oh,
you're not short.
I'm not really short. Yeah, I think I have this average height, right? I have an average height. I'm not short. Yeah, I'm proud of that.
6 foot, 5 foot 9, 5 foot 10. I don't know.
Yeah, kind of. I'm not sure I am 6, but like average, okay. Have you had? So I had this experience with a student. Um,
Hmm.
that was. I'm trying to think. That was. Is it this year or last year? Around last year, November, October, November. I had this crazy experience. I'm going to tell you my experience, but okay, let me start with
Okay.
mine. There was a student we had issues in class. Um, he was always coming late, but that wasn't the problem. The problem was he had this arrogant demeanor, and
Hmm.
I don't want to say the word lashed out, but I called him out in front of the whole class. I told him
Hmm.
I didn't like what he was up to, and I just we had a test, mid test, right? We had this mid test,
Yeah.
and he flunked. I think he had a 30 something, 38. But some
Hmm.
students, when you see them, they have this potential if they were more serious in a way. So I
Hmm.
called him out. You're smarter than this, blah blah blah. He cried. He cried, and the admins called me. Abraham, what happened? And you know me, we had a conversation. So he came back. I don't know what happened. He went to the restroom, came back, apologized to me. Then our relationship changed. He, we just vibed in a way. Now, fortunately, if I mention this, some people watching this might know. Fortunately, he was in my C1 group. Then he was also in my C2 group. In Talk, we get to change teachers, but I was just fortunate to be
Hmm.
available for a C2 group. So we met again, and that was just it. He did amazingly well, although he had problems with timing, scheduling, but we did great. We went really personal, talking about family issues, and at the time he was maybe 15 or 16 years of age. Yeah, something like that. 16
Hmm.
kind of. We went really deep. Then the last day after the final exam, I was outside there in the lobby talking to a teacher, and he said, He was leaving. He had finished the exam. He was leaving, and he said, "Mr. Ibrahim, are you going to tell your children about me?" And I said, in my joke, like jokingly, but affirmatively, I said, "No. Why?" And he said, "I will tell my children about you." And he said, "Bye bye," and left.
Wow.
I was dumbfounded. I didn't know what to say. For other admins, we had like three or four administrators there just looking at us. I I didn't know what to say. I was just like that. Then the teacher in front of me was just, "Wow, you have this kind of relationship with them?" And I didn't know what to say. I was there for like 1 minute just staring at the teacher in front of me because he had left. So, have you had
Hmm.
crazy experiences like this with students in classes, and maybe good, maybe
Mm.
bad? Which one is that one that comes to mind?
To be honest, nothing like really crazy. But once there was a, I'm not sure. Maybe he was in your group as well. Imran,
Oh,
do you remember the name?
what's that? What's the name?
So
Okay, okay, let's not
Imran,
go to
Imran.
names. Oh,
I already said it. Okay, so it was just he's a like he's a guy who like likes to like he's not a quiet guy. Let's
oh,
let me say it
those
like that.
explosive students.
He likes to yeah, he likes to talk. He's a very extroverted person, and I
Mm-hmm.
remember what like during the lessons we that group I in the beginning I told them that like no phones. Like if
Oh, okay.
one person uses the phone, then everybody has to give it to me. And
Oh,
I remember once he took the phone, but it was his mom calling. I was just like, okay, no
oh,
problem. But the second time, maybe it was 1 week later or 2 weeks later, I don't remember. He, I think he started playing some game because he finished one of the
Ali.
tasks that I gave to the students, and yeah, he finished early, and everybody else was still doing it. So he
Mm-hmm.
started playing, and I just said Imran, and I went like that, like give me the phone,
Give me the
and
phone.
everybody gave it, but not him. So he didn't give me the phone, and like 10 minutes later, it was a break time, and we just spent the whole break talking to each other, and like
Okay.
he wasn't very happy. Let's let's call it like that. He was asking me like, I mean, he was telling me that like we are not paying for you to take our phones. We're paying for you to actually teach us something, and we had this like back and forth, and I just
Mm-hmm.
went to him like, go out, like I don't wanna waste your energy, my energy, your nerves, my nerves. Just go out.
Oh,
He went out for 5 minutes, I think. He came back, apologized, and we acted as if nothing ever happened. Like
nothing
we never
happened.
had, like we never had some problems with each other. He's actually
Mm-hmm.
he's a very talkative person, but he's a good guy. He's not a bad guy.
Mm,
Like our relationship was like it was good. Like, I cannot say it was perfect, but it was good.
okay.
And then we had this like back and forth between each other. Then 5 minutes later, he came back. He apologized, and we just continued the lesson. Like
That's
nothing.
nothing
Nothing happened.
acrimonious. Yeah, nothing crazy. Yeah. Do you think
Nothing crazy. No, no.
yeah, not do you think teaching has changed over the course of the years? By changed, I mean when I was younger, we had back in Nigeria the teaching system. The teachers were allowed to beat students. Okay, you
Oh my
could
god.
beat.
Okay.
Yeah, you could beat. Not just parents. Teachers could beat students. We had teachers that were like daredevils. They bring
Hmm.
canes. They bring these lashes, and they beat students. Then even
Hmm.
now in Nigeria, you just can't beat students. You dare not
Hmm.
try it, even as a teacher. So I think there's this shift. Do you think the same thing is here? When I said the word beating, you're like, what? Beating? But what's that?
Um, Actually, throughout my whole life, like in school,
Mm-hmm.
in uni, I maybe saw once or twice when a teacher like she didn't even beat the student. She just like raised her hand and she just went like that. So it wasn't like
Okay.
anything serious, but I only saw it maybe once or twice maximum.
Oh.
But the fact that you can actually not you can actually the fact that teachers in Nigeria were allowed to beat, that's a bit surprising to me. like
Yeah,
I
you could.
uh, like I don't know. I'm a very diplomatic person when it comes to like violence in general. I just hate it. I cannot stand it, to be honest. Like even raising my voice, it's kind of hard for me because I try to solve everything in peace. Like I'm
Hmm.
calm, the other person is calm, and we just talk like adults. But
Hmm.
if it's if it's a child, for example, then it might be hard because he's still a child. So maybe you gotta raise your voice a little bit. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, but your initial question about the system, whether it's changed,
Hmm.
definitely, and I think in many ways, I think it's
Oh.
become much more easier with with the
Mm.
internet and with the social media, and there are so many people who teach other teachers like how to conduct the
Hmm.
lessons, maybe some tips, life hacks, and with AI as well. I think
Of
it's very
course.
helpful. Like I haven't really used it to its like maximum, but
Okay.
I feel like it's also something that helps probably millions of teachers nowadays. So I reckon
Yes, exactly.
it's become easier, like than if we compare to the last, I don't know, 10 years, for example. Like the situation in 2014 and the situation now. Well, it's very like
They're
it's
totally different.
yeah, totally different. It's become much
Mm.
more easier, and I feel like the whole education system, it's also changed a little bit. Like I'm sure not many people just throw all the eggs in one basket. I mean, when it comes to
Mm-hmm.
education, like they don't just
Mm-hmm.
hope and pray that the diploma that they will get, it will help them to become successful in life. Like
Succeed
many
in, yeah,
people,
succeeding.
yeah, yeah, like many
Yeah.
people try different things, like some side hustles, I don't know. So it's it changed in that regard as well, I feel like. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
It's like you also have to upskill. Talk of AI. You said something about AI, and
Yeah, yeah,
do you give homework to students?
yeah, yeah, definitely, of course.
I don't. I don't. There's a
Ah, all
reason.
right.
There's a reason.
Okay.
The reason I stopped. I don't want to say. Well, now I don't, but I used to. Then I
Mhm.
discovered something about late last year. I had this group that when I gave them homework, this guy would come back to class, especially essays. He would come back to class with even the vocabulary I had never heard in my life as a teacher. Then one day I was like, wait, I told him to close his essay and give me a summary of what he had written. My guy
Mhm.
couldn't say a word. I was like, gotcha. He couldn't. He could. So he just couldn't say a word. So now in place of, so I think in a way AI has killed the prospect of giving homework to students.
Mhm.
In a
Mhm.
way, one thing I do to try to counter that is the fact that I just ask my students, okay, you're going to do something maybe next week, but prepare against it. So what they do is that they read up, even if you want to use AI to read up, but coming to class, I block all avenues of cheating. I take their phones, take their
Mhm.
materials, I give them plain papers to write on. So that way, even if use AI at home, read up, but you're not going to use it in class. So it has helped in a way, but yeah, I use AI as a teacher. I search for discussion questions. Do you understand? Discussion questions and some other things. Yeah, and also back to the aspect of what's it called? Back to this aspect of beating. I think it's just when you grow up doing something, you actually didn't you don't know if it's right or not, wrong. So we call something the cane and carrot method. It's the story of old donkeys when you take them to farm. The cane is when you whip the carrot. Now, when you whip the donkey to work harder, whereas the carrot method is when you dangle the carrot in front of the donkey. So it's like the punishment and the reward system. So I think in Africa or Nigeria, we made use of the punishment system. When you do something bad, you get punished. But coming to Kazakhstan, it's changed my orientation now. Okay, you don't really have to punish. You can use the reward system. You do something good, you get something better as a reward. They both have the advantages and disadvantages. In fact, coming here, it was tough to unlearn what's it called? The cane system. Because even as a teacher back in Nigeria, if you check my pictures as a teacher in Nigeria, you probably would see me with cane going everywhere because that was the system. But coming to Kazakhstan, I learned to check. I even took a lot of teaching courses to understand the psychology of students, to understand that, okay, when the student is acting out, what is really happening. When a student is just silent, what's happening. Some students, you just see them, they want that attention. Just give it to them. So it's in a way, I would say, crazy when as a teacher trying to understand people. Do you think as a teacher you are also a psychologist? As a-
Definitely, 100%. Because like you deal with like different age groups, different
Mhm,
people, different personalities, and you like as you have more and more students, um, you're beginning to learn like what should you do with those kind of people and what you
mhm.
shouldn't do with those kind of people. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think like for me personally, I have a cousin, and she is a psychologist. So
Oh.
yeah, it kind of helped me, to be honest, because I cannot say that I can easily read people with just my own eyes. No, that's not the case. But I feel like if I have a few lessons with them, I might have the idea, like what should I do, what I shouldn't do, what should I say, what I shouldn't say. So I feel like you are definitely you
Yeah.
have to be a psychologist, if you even
You
if you
have
don't
to
want to
be.
be.
You have to
Yeah.
be. I once had a student that this lively student, and all of a sudden he just switched off. And
Hmm.
I think there was a time of course, I have learned over the years not to get agitated or mad at situations like that. And then I just called him. No, I think I called the mom and discovered the parents were getting a divorce. So the
Hmm.
divorce kind of affected him because he wasn't sure where he was going to live or something about that. And maybe he saw the parents fighting, so it transferred into his activities, and that was a bit sad in a way. I just didn't know how to handle that. Do you think teachers should be? I know teachers go through trainings like this, but do you think teachers should go deeper into majoring into psychology or philosophy just to be able to handle situations like this?
Honestly, I still ask this question to myself. I think I think it's important to strike balance between like not going too deep into like another person's life, because yeah, obviously it's sad,
Hmm.
and like
Yes.
you
Yes.
feel sorry, like you feel sorry for them, but like you are not their brother, you're not their father, you're not their
Hmm.
friend even. You like um I want to do it. Like I want to help them. Like if they are in such like a bad situation, but for some people this might have a like a negative effect because they might ask like they might say to me like who are you to say anything, like you don't know what's happened. So but for some people it might be the opposite, it might really help them. So I don't know, honestly I don't know, I still ask this question to myself, but
Mm-hmm.
I try to like if I hear some stuff like that I try to
Mm-hmm.
well at least listen to the student like what he or she has to say. So that's my
Yeah, the question is when do we get to draw the line? When do we get to say, okay, this is where my job as a teacher stops, and when do we
uh-huh.
say, where's the line? Is the line the same for all students, or it's different for depending on the situation? I know you've said something similar to that now. That some might
Mhm.
say yes, some might say no. But you as a teacher, when do you say, okay, I can't help you here? When do we say that?
If for me if I see that the student is very very uncomfortable talking about that,
Mm-hmm.
then well it means that he or she doesn't want to share it. So for me I have this like conclusion that they don't like they're not in a right state of mind to maybe get some help or um, talk
Mm.
about that like in general. So I just like if I see that, if I feel that, I just I stay away from that. But if the student is like not actively sharing, but if he's willing to share, then I try my best and I well at first I listen to him or her, and then I try to do something that I can. So yeah.
That's interesting. That's great. I don't think we're not this. We're not libraries, or we don't. Yeah,
Yeah.
I understand what you're trying to say. Have you had situations where you said something now and just made me remember a situation I had with a student that
Mm-hmm.
there was this girl talking about football team. I think she's a Madrid fan or something. But the way
Mm-hmm.
this girl kept talking about football, I was in awe. Trust me, she not just. I think she went to Qatar to watch the World
Uh-huh.
Cup.
Oh. Oh.
She went to Qatar to watch World Cup. She she at this time knew the names of country football players, not club, country football players, different
Wow.
countries. And we were just talking, and I was like, wait, how did you know stuffs like this? It was well, to me it was honest. How did you know stuff like this? I asked. You would, right? Anybody would ask that question. Even as a guy, I don't want to say as a guy, but even as a teacher, I was way older, and I didn't know most of this football, and I'm a huge football fan. And
Mm-hmm.
she kept saying, "Okay, well, my family, I'm the only girl, blah blah blah. I'm the only girl in my family. I have brothers, I have a father. We all went together." And while during the course of her explanation, one student, she's a lawyer. It's an adult class actually, but this girl happened to
Mm-hmm.
be a high school student,
Mm-hmm.
maybe grade 11 or something. She's about to finish actually, and this
Mm-hmm.
adult person, she's a lawyer, just bashed him. How dare you? That's sexist. Are you saying that a girl can't know anything about football? How dare you? I was in shock. I was in shock. I tried explaining myself that no, I was just asking an honest question like, how come? Even I would ask a man this same question. You know the names of players. You know the names of what's the name of this country? Qatar's football player. You know the names of all Saudi Arabia's football players. How? Then uh, what's the name? Then there's another web developer guy, also a student, and he kind of placates the situation like, okay, we should settle down. It's nothing. But she got really mad. I had never
Mm-hmm.
experienced that in my life as a teacher. She got mad. She hated me. Sincerely, she hated me. All through the course, she had to leave. She left the course mid. mid course. She left mid course actually. She just left. She was mad.
Wow.
Have you had controversial situations like this that gets you like, wait, why?
Wow, that's an interesting question. Um, no, actually, no. I mean,
Mm,
mm, no, never. Like I never had a situation when the student just left mid class. No, never.
mm. No, not mid class, mid
Maybe.
course, mid course. Yeah, yeah, like in the mid. It's a 6 weeks course, right? She left before
Yeah,
the end
yeah.
of the course and she just disappeared. It was scary.
Uh, I mean, I had students who just left not even mid course, but maybe in the
Mm,
second week of the course, but they never said anything to me. They just
due
talked
to
to the managers. I actually,
personal reason.
I actually, I like when I just found out about that, I was a bit surprised. Like, I mean, the fact
Mm,
that they don't really say anything to the teacher, but they just go straight to the manager and they just say like, I'm out. I don't want to be on this course. But they never ever said anything to me. So I
I-
still, up to this day, I don't know what was the problem, to be honest.
exactly. And funny enough, you might think you they don't give the sign of maybe they like you or they don't like you. In fact, you
Yeah.
get a sign they like you. That's the fun thing. They tell you, "Oh, good," but they just disappear. I think
Mhm.
it's about expectation. Actually, they maybe they expect something else, and style of teaching should be a factor too. What do you think? The style, the system, the style of teaching should also
Yeah.
be a factor.
It's, oh, it's not even 100%. I would say 10,000%. Like,
Yeah,
um, because I feel it's it's like a let's like the analogy would be like if you let's say like a girl and you what's the first thing that you see when you see a girl?
yeah.
Appearance, right?
Appearance,
Like the
yes,
looks.
yes.
Yeah, looks.
Mhm,
So I feel like when it comes to teaching, the style of teaching is this like appearance and looks on the girl because that's the first thing the students
mhm.
experience when they see you for the first time. Like how, like what's your program? What's your style? How do you teach basically? What do you do?
Mm-hmm,
What you
mm-hmm.
don't do? Like what's the where do you put more emphasis on? Let's say.
Emphasis,
So
yes, yes,
yeah,
yeah.
I feel
But
like that's very
looking at
important.
your style, although I haven't had the opportunity, or let me say, well,
Hmm.
it's in the past now since I am no more with you guys. I didn't have, I didn't
Yeah, yeah.
have the opportunity to attend your class because sometimes when I'm free, I try to attend teachers' classes just to
Hmm.
steal methods I feel are good. Yeah, I've attended classes.
Hmm.
I'm like, oh, I like this method, and I wrote them down and I used them in my classes. The teachers, I just go to them. How do you handle this? So one thing I
Hmm.
discovered from you is that you do your research into games, activities
Hmm.
that help. I think you suggested this challenge activity. You know an answer. You
Hmm.
remember when you talked to us about that challenge. How do you go about? What's your preferred style of teaching? Or what's your favorite? Let me say
Um.
that. Mhm.
Uh huh. I feel like I try mixing different styles. For example,
Mm,
um, some like mostly I prefer um, like I put more focus on for students to actually talk, like to actually practice, because there is
mhm,
no like I am a strong believer in that. There is no point in learning all these new words, all this new grammar, doing
mhm.
all these exercises if you're not speaking.
Speaking.
Because
Mhm,
when you go to another country, let's say England, France, doesn't matter, Germany, nobody cares about your grammar. Nobody cares
mhm.
about your like whether you have done those tasks in Kazakhstan. Nobody cares. The only
Of
thing
course.
that matters is can you communicate with those people. So
Mhm,
since let's assume that this person doesn't speak French or German. Let's say that this person speaks only English. So like when you wanna ask something to a German guy or French guy,
mhm, mhm.
you will not like in the moment you will not think about the grammar and the vocabulary that you learned. The only thing that matters is, can you actually talk? Like, can you actually communicate with the person? So this is probably my main focus. Like I try to make them speak. Like, I don't speak as much. I try to like put them, in the situations where they have to speak. Be it in an activity, be it in maybe some tasks in the student book or workbook, doesn't matter. So my main focus is for them to actually speak, and then obviously then the grammar goes and the vocabulary goes, probably two most important things after speaking. So I would say speaking, grammar, vocabulary, and when I do the activities, I try to practice at least two of them. Ideally three, like all three, grammar, speaking, and vocabulary, but at least two. Well, speaking, obviously, like they practice speaking all the time, but I try to also add in like grammar or vocabulary, or ideally both of them. So, yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I believe in that too, but my method is more of a conversation method. I believe in question and answers. So in most of the situations, I would say I speak averagely the same amount as my students, because I ask questions and they give answers. The only situation I believe might be different if the student is a lively student. We have some students that, some students gave birth to this podcast where they say, "How are you?" "I'm fine." But we have some students, when you ask them, "How are you?" they speak for minutes. So in that situation, it's like not balanced anymore. Well, I like the back and forth conversation method where I ask questions, they give it back to me, and I believe in speaking also. I believe in that.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Do you think we should always learn? Do you think teachers should always learn more to improve in class, or you think we should? We already know it. We should just stay that way.
I always tell myself that every day you can learn something new, and I think this can be applied not only to teachers but to any job in the world. Like if you are, let's say, if you are a manager, or if you are a CEO of some big company, let's say, like you can just go with the flow for like I don't know 1 year or 2 years, but then I believe that you might get, like, it might sound funny, but you might get bored because you're doing just the routine stuff every single day, 365 days a year.
I detest repetition.
24 hours a day. So I feel like when you learn something new, you open like the door for other opportunities. Maybe like you get some new knowledge. You have your brain works all the time. So I feel like it's very
new
important
materials.
to
New materials, new games, new books, even new that's materials, right? A lot of things come into place and they make that. It's been funny enough. We've spoken and we never talked about football. Remember that was the first thing we wanted to talk about. That's interesting. That we've been able to go through this. Okay, I think we spent over an hour here. Okay, let me see. let's try to end it up here with that. Okay, teaching. Modeling. My plan is to make sure I end this. Do I call this a podcast? This is my first one. Is it a podcast? Well, we have headsets.
I don't know, because for me, like, my association with the podcast is people sitting in one room with those mics that are close to their
something like this with mics. This is like an online podcast in a way, but I've seen. The funny thing is that when I was researching this, I couldn't find people doing online. Now, 40 minutes into this meeting, I understand why people put themselves in the room. It's because of internet connection. They don't want to
especially in our country.
Really? The internet. Funny enough, I would say that, but the thing is that this is my first time doing this, so I've never experienced that. So I think
Mhm.
one reason people believe in physical podcast is the fact that they don't want breaking connection and everything, and they want to be able to
Mhm.
upload one document. Now I have to download the first one, download this one, merge them together, and upload. Wish me luck. So
I wish you luck.
that's a good one. Now, before you go, I want you to come back
Mhm.
to YouTube in 10 years or 5 years and see this video. So the
Mhm.
question is, what do you have to tell your future self? What do you have to tell
My
your
future
future
self
self?
in 5 years or in 10 years.
Eh, okay, maybe you can pick the two or pick one. But what do you have to tell that in 5 years' time you're watching this video, you want to watch yourself and say,
Mhm.
"Oh, I did it," or "Wow, I said that." So, which one do you want to say? Do you have anything to say to that future self?
Um, just
You're
keep
my white
going. Uh,
you're my white mice now. You're my laboratory mice now. Others watching this will be like, oh, let's get ready for that question.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm like, yeah. Well, I would say just take it easy, keep going.
Hmm.
Like, unfortunately, you will not be able to do absolutely everything in life because that's impossible. But make sure that the things that you do them at your absolute best. Just try
Oh,
your. It might work, it might not work, but make sure that you do your absolute best, and then in the end, the results will hopefully come.
wow. Thank you.
That's yeah.
Thank you. That's been an amazing one. Thanks for your time. Yeah, thanks for that. And I'm happy this actually. Can I call this a success? I think it's a success. Yeah, you are here. We made it happen. I think some. What are the advice? Should we stop the? No, let me not stop it. Let me make it real. I might not cut out a lot
Okay.
of. I think the only part I want to cut out is the part where I was waiting for you to come back online.
Yeah,
So I
yeah,
might have to
definitely,
cut it out.
definitely.
So yeah. So, but the thing is, do you have any advice to make this better? Talk about any advice to make this. I
uh,
want this to be really good. Talking to people about life and something.
um, I feel like this is not the point to give advices because this is your first one. Maybe when you
Mm-hmm.
do your first five or your first 10, then maybe
Yeah.
we can look at that. But for now, I think it's so far pretty good. But I think we need like maybe 5 videos at least
Five and
to
to check.
look at the pros and cons and see, like, analyze
Mm,
what's good,
mhm,
what's working, what's not working. So I
mhm.
feel like, but just
Yeah.
just keep going.
Yeah.
I wish you all the
Yeah.
best.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me on. It was a pleasure,
Yeah.
like a real
Thank
pleasure
you.
talking to you, and I can do it anytime basically.
Oh, that's
It's
great.
such a
And
pleasure.
okay, one lesson I have learned from you is that I must make sure I get my Calendly ready. It was hard booking the time with you. Next week, 2 weeks, this week. So once I have my Calendly, so you can just check my free time, check your free time. Just pick a day,
All right, all right.
we register that, and okay, I think I've learned that lesson now.